Welcome to We're Talking Bears,
where we bring you the latest in the Chicago Bears experience.
I'm Uncle,
Nephew,
and I'm Son,
and we're talking Bears. I'm Nephew. Welcome back to We're Talking Bears. Week 11, Bears face the Detroit Lions, division leaders, in what seemed like a turning point for the Chicago Bears this season until the end of the game. But nice to have all of you here with us once again for the latest in Bears action. What's up, Unc? What's up, Cuz? How do y'all feel after this disappointing week 11?
That's the right word right there. Disappointing.
Man, feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You know what?
I don't have a definition for this.
You know, lost his words.
We need
a new word. We need a new word. We need a new word.
You know what? I said going into this, I had my expectations reasonable. I said I wanted us to be competitive, and we certainly were, without question. We met that objective. Somewhere in that third quarter, I expected us to win. Okay, my expectations rose during that third quarter, and I expected us to win. As we approached 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I wasn't not afraid because we've seen our Bears self-destruct in the first.
I like that. I wasn't not afraid. I like that.
Wasn't not afraid. But I still had a lot of hope. And then as we did that super long drive that just ate the clock up, it was good decisions. It was the right decisions. We played tough. And we kicked the field goal. And it seems like right after that field goal, two things happened. I think when Justin was dancing on the side, that was kind of like when Carlos Boozer talked smack to Chris Bosh, or when many a player would talk smack to Michael Jordan. It's just like there's a time where you don't piss off a better team. You don't celebrate too early. It's kind of like Atlanta Falcons against Tom Brady.
Pops, I got one thing to say to that.
You can't celebrate too early, but I'm gonna let you go ahead.
It's short. Okay, Boomer. That's all I got to say to that one. That's that 85 Bears, like, oh, just show up with your hard hat and your lunch pail. That old come on, man. Like that should have been the dagger. With any kind of competent coaching staff, that play was the dagger. And then they, of course, pissed that away and then had to come back and ask for another dagger from him. And like, it's crazy that these coaches are allowed to keep doing this. It's just inane that we just keep turning back to the same TV channel, you know what I mean? Like in the same chapter of the Bears history instead of trying something new. And the coaches aren't trying anything new. They keep taking the ball out of his hands in the fourth quarter. When they need a game-winning drive, it's always run. Oh, okay, now we'll call a pass play. That's always what it is. Like that, it's not the time for that in the fourth quarter. You have to burn their timeouts, and then you can just run the ball. But we ran the ball multiple times and burned 2 timeouts, 15 seconds off the clock, and gained 1 yard? That doesn't put an NFL team away. The decision to kick the field goal after going run after Justin Fields' big run, after that moment where he danced, the decision to go run 3 plays back to back and then kick a field goal was like giving up. That you went from a 9-point lead to a 12-point lead. I don't know if Matt Eberflus does math on the sidelines, probably not, but that's still less than 2 touchdowns. He didn't actually move the needle at all with that field goal. There was no change to the situation of the game. So it's ridiculous that Fields is now like, oh, well, he shouldn't have been dancing. Like, yeah, okay, sure. But after you're able to make 11 of the best athletes on the planet look silly when they're doing everything in their power to stop you on a third, what was it, 3rd and 14 that he converted with a 30-yard run? Yeah, he deserves to be able to dance. This is the only joy this man gets to feel as a Chicago Bear. Do not try to take that away from him. Stop.
No, I'm gonna say there's a time for that. It's called at the end of the fourth quarter. You dance all you want, man. I want to see him run again, like in the 49ers game, run down the field like a kid and dive into the end zone. The whole team. I want to see that, but you got to finish. You got to finish. It's that act like you've been there since. Don't celebrate, too early. You celebrate too early.
Yeah.
Atlanta versus Tom Brady. You celebrate too early.
Let me say this.
Oops! All of a
Let me say
sudden,
this. Let me say
stuff
this.
goes the wrong way.
I can understand
Atlanta
that.
celebrated at the half.
I can understand that.
They didn't celebrate at the half.
Cook them so's.
I can understand that from a loser's standpoint, right? Like,
Hey, we've been losers, man. We're
look,
the worst
check it out.
defense in the
Check it out.
NFL.
But I think that's the difference, right? I think that's the difference. You can't have a loser mentality and then you project that onto your players. Justin Fields, I think the Chicago Bears have been losing. I don't think that any individual player should be out there thinking that, oh, I'm a loser. Let me not celebrate because we're liable to blow this game. A 25-point lead at halftime for any professional that makes it to a Super Bowl game. What the hell are you doing talking about, oh, we can't celebrate too soon, we're going to blow the game? Why are we at 25 against the greatest of all time? That's what you're here for. I just feel like while I can understand that sentiment, that's because you're scared. And like you said, it's not that I wasn't afraid. Yeah, you're scared. You think that somehow him dancing is going to awake the better player who must have been asleep this whole game for you to be in the lead. That's what it sounds like. Like you shouldn't be in this position. And as soon as you start dancing, you're going to alert the guards and they're going to come and get you. It's like, no. And while like I said, I get it. We all play sports. I get it. I understand.
Don't wake the prison guards.
Look, I understand. I get it. I totally get it. But that's from a standpoint where it's like, hey, if they knew what we were doing, they would beat us. You get what I'm saying? And I just felt like we played an amazing game up until, you get what I'm saying? Me personally, while I can understand what both of you are saying, because I don't like the run play calls that they made sometimes on the offense, especially late in that game. But I also feel like the defense went from a good defense to a terrible defense in like a nanosecond because we were stopping them all day long. They literally, the last 2 drives for them, we didn't stop any play that they did. Because like none, we didn't stop them at all. Like we didn't do anything.
It was Jared Goff, right? Jared Goff is really good at throwing the ball between 0 and 20 yards. And then at the end of the game, inexplicably, we backed off so that he had the hole underneath to work with, and we didn't play tight coverage right at the line of scrimmage. Forced Jared Goff to try to beat us over the top. And then in one play, we actually did let somebody run wide open, Jameson Williams or whatever, for a 30-yard touchdown. But you got to stay up tight. You got to keep pressuring him. You got to keep doing the things that have kept him off balance, doing the things that have forced him to make mistakes and throw the ball into tight windows because he doesn't have the time to sit back and process and try to pick you apart. But what we did instead, what Eberflus does at the end of every single close game, and what Luke Getsy does at the end of every single close game or game with a lead, and this is the reason Justin Fields has such a terrible win percentage, I would say, in my opinion, is because whenever we're up, their mindset is protect the lead. And we talked about this, Pops, back when Lovey was coaching, and we would have, Ron Turner and all those offensive coordinators, and we would get up, a good 17-3, 21-3, and we'd be like, oh yeah, we gonna win this game. And then they would just let off the gas. And we this is the NFL, you gotta put your foot on their throat and you gotta choke them until the bell rings. And that's what our coaches, just Getsy and Eberflus, do not understand that. And
you got a different, Lovey's era, that was the right decision because you had Urlacher, Briggs, Tillman, Brown.
I'm saying other than the Super Bowl,
over to the defense.
In the Super Bowl year, We lost a lot of games because we wouldn't put our foot on people's throats offensively. We would start.
You mean
pounding
other?
the
You said
rock,
other than the
running
Super
the
Bowl
clock.
year?
Yeah, because the Super Bowl year, it was just like we had Tommy Harris, Agundier, Mike Brown was healthy most of that
That
year.
defense was magic.
It was crazy having them all together. And then pieces started to kind of fall off. Tommy Harris would be injured, Mike Brown would be injured, and then he was gone. We lost who was off the line.
The worst thing we did was get rid of the two.
Tank Johnson had to go to jail or something over some firearm charges or some crap like that. It was all kinds of stuff going on. So like we would start losing pieces, and then we couldn't defensively hold up, even when we didn't put our foot on throats.
Let me toss this in. You talked about Jamison Williams. So Jamison Williams on the year had 101 yards receiving.
Yep,
he's a nobody.
That's basically his whole career. So
we
far.
let him right. He's a 100-yard a season guy. And there's absolutely no excuse for him being wide open in the end zone. That's number one. Safety, look, this is an easy cover. Just be near him. Okay. Yeah. So that was a big gaffe on, I love Eddie, but Eddie makes big gaffes. And that was a big gaffe on Eddie. You cannot, at the same time, he caught that pass. And our guy who's R.T. Scott, who's kind of our almost equivalent, he's better than Williams.
Well, James Williams,
is, but he didn't play better. He didn't play better on Sunday because he made a gaffe. He stopped running. You can't stop running on a route.
Do you know who James Williams is, Pops? Are you okay?
He's a nobody.
No,
who was he supposed to be?
Jameson Williams was supposed to be a really incredible receiver. He was actually Justin Fields' teammate at Ohio State. He was like his freshman year in college or whatever. Then he transferred to Alabama, where he was a Heisman finalist at wide receiver. He was one of the best receivers in the country. He went to the Lions, top 10 overall. But he had a torn ACL in like his last year of college, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to take him a while to heal from that. You're basically stashing this top 10 pick. This is a guy that you can get back in a year or two." So he comes back from the ACL at the end of, I want to say, or the middle of last year, but only caught like one pass, right?
Yep, one pass.
Out of football for like 2 years. Then into the offseason, he had this big gambling thing, and then he was suspended for a bunch of games, right? So he was suspended by the NFL for gambling or whatever, something like that. Part of what they suspended a bunch of people going into this year. So he was suspended for like.
I remember that the Lions gambling problem. Yeah.
Right. And then now he's back on the field for the first time, really consistently. Right. And he hasn't really done much. Like he's
been out for like 6 games. This is his 6th game this year.
Still a rookie in his second or third year, whatever it is, of the NFL. But he was a top 10 pick. He's not a nobody. I'm not going to sit here and say he has no talent, but the kid should not be running free through our secondary at the end of the
with the game on.
He's not at that level.
No one should be running free in the end zone with the game on the line. That's especially when you're playing back. You're playing back. You're intentionally giving away the under. But now you're giving away the under and the over. That
was on our top corner who's supposed to be getting paid $20 million or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, he had 3 interceptions, a forced fumble. We had 3 and 2 possibles. Like if this was a spades game, we cut our partner. We did everything we could to lose. We had the hand. Like right, Jalen Johnson dropped a pick 6. There were potential pick 6, and whatever the other one was, he almost had a second pick. He didn't catch either. Then we had 3 legit picks that we actually took away from him. Then we forced a fumble on special teams. How did they score 2 touchdowns in 2.5 minutes? Like that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around. Like it has to be something on your side that says, "Hey, we've been doing too good this game. How can we revert back to the other guys that we were?"
Here's the thing. Going into the game. You have to look at what the other team has been doing, right? And the Lions have been dropping 30 points almost consistently all year long. So when you're sitting there at what was it, 23 to 14 or something, and you're at 4th and inches after that QB sneak doesn't work on your own on their 20 or something like that. And you've got Justin Fields, you've got Roshan Johnson, the only running back who's getting any kind of yards per carry. I think the running backs average like 2.2 yards per carry, except for Roshan, who had like 5 or 6. And then you've got those guys in your backfield. Your offensive line is the healthiest it's been all year. And you know that the Lions have been dropping 30 points a game. You cannot sit back and say, "Oh, 26 points looks like it'll win us this game." You have to anticipate. You have to know. You have to game plan.
Well,
like
it should win.
Drop 30 to beat a team that drops 30. We have to make sure that we're putting up enough points, and you can't make that decision on 4th and 1. You got to go for it. He went for all the 4th and 1s that were longer 4th and 1s all the way up to that point in the game, and then just was like, "No."
Time out. I hear what you're saying. I'm not mad at the kick. Here's the problem.
I'm mad at the kick.
Here's the problem in the NFL. Look. In the NFL, with teams up by 12 points in the 4th quarter, the team up by 12 is 48-0 until Sunday.
That's because they're up
now
by 12.
48-1. Okay,
that's because they get up by 12 for a reason, and they continue to use the reason they're up by 12.
Well, there you go.
For all the 4th downs up to that point.
When it's 3 minutes, when it's 3 minutes left, the defense you can't. The defense gaffed. You cannot give up the under, the over, and the run. They gave up everything.
I agree.
Nothing worked on defense.
100%. But watch this.
And wait. Let me throw this last one.
Say we convert that 4th down, that 4th and inches that it was. Say we convert that 4th down at 23 to 20.
You might still be picking a field.
And then we score that touchdown. So now it's 30 to 14. They score 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields doesn't have to try to throw it at the end of the game. Now we can run it out.
Well, here's the key. Two things. I mean, we still could have run it out.
Decision.
But I'm not telling you here. You're focused on that. There's a catastrophe of wrong decisions. Because even in the play before the T. Scott bomb, okay, I don't mind the T. Scott bomb, and I don't mind it going to T. Scott. They didn't expect him. He should have caught the ball. He's being paid $1 million to run down the field and catch a ball. Run down the field and catch the ball for your $1 million. So I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with doing it on 3rd and 10. If you do it on 1st down and you throw that pass and he doesn't catch the ball, well, one, you've stretched the defense and you've made a sentence, so you might have just opened up the run lanes again. And 2, you've got 2 downs to recover from. You can get 5 yards twice.
Yeah.
And first, but then 3, you don't do dive plays, even though one of them was a read option dive. You don't do dive plays
into the loadedest of boxes.
And why aren't you going around the edge when they're putting 9 men in the box to stop you from diving?
Yep.
You got 9 men in the box. They're trying. They know you've been running. They're trying to stop you from running the clock out. You just walked down the field, ran, and scored a field goal. If you do it again, game's over. So that's just those 3 plays were critically bad. And then we're gonna have it. Then Justin sacked himself. There's no such thing as a 10-yard drop back at the end of the game. You got to have pocket presence. There was no pressure in front of him. You got to take 1 step forward. He didn't belong 10 yards back. He was 10 yards from the line. His foot was 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. And I'm not mad at Justin. He played a phenomenal game. But again, we go back to you got to be perfect to win as a Bear. So when DJ Moore scores 3 touchdowns, that's as near as perfect as you're going to give for a receiver. Dante Foreman scores 3 touchdowns, near as perfect you're going to give for a running back. Justin had to be perfect because we kept giving up points late in the 4th quarter.
Now let me address
that. Was not literally, that was the wrong time for a mistake. He was too deep. He didn't step up into the pocket. There was lots of 10 yards.
The wrong time for a mistake. We were already losing at that point, and there were 29 seconds left. There was a 1%
give a free sack. You can't give a free sack.
down the field.
You can't be 10 yards
The game
deep.
is basically already over. There's like a 1% chance he drives us down the field to field goal range in 29 seconds, right? At the end of the game.
Wait.
From
I
his
got
own
one more.
25.
I got one more.
The pass game
I
had
got
been
one more.
blanketed. The run game was what was working, and it was working because Justin made it work, not because the running backs were getting any kind of
Right,
yardage.
Justin had 100 on the ground.
Justin had 100 on the ground and 5.8. Roshan had 6 carries for, I think it was something like 30 yards, something like that, like 5 yards, 6 yards a carry. And all the other running backs. No, it was like 5. I guarantee you it was more than 4. But point is, or maybe it was like 4 carries for 6 yards a carry, something like that.
It was 5. You're right. 6 for 30 for Roshan. Herbert had 16 for 35.
16 for 35. And
yeah, they were every time Herbert was on the field, they were shutting him down.
Exactly. And then I think Dante Foreman had like
6 for 14.
6 for 14 and a touchdown from that one angry run, right? So
yep.
They weren't our run game was Justin. Our run game was
and Roshan. Roshan was doing a good job.
Roshan helped, but he was not our run game.
Yeah.
He helped, but he was not our run game. When we gave it to Roshan right at the end, he didn't get that first on 3rd and 7, did he? He got 6. Okay.
Which is good. 6 is good.
I'm not mad at Roshan, but we should have handed it to him a lot more. So the point of the
you got to go with the hot hand. He was hot. Herbert wasn't.
System,
feed him.
Give the ball to the hot back. Like Herbert, it's his first week back after messing up his ankle. You got to take it easy on him and let him slowly get back, trusting that ankle, making hard cuts, pushing off, and hitting the hole with power. But right now, this game, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't his normal self. He didn't make a lot of explosive runs like he normally does. He mostly got bottled up. So
he
giving it
got
twice on the drive before Justin Fields fumbled was a huge problem, like you said. Not throwing it to get a first down and force them to burn timeouts when it's 2 minutes left in the game. Like, God, man, Getsy just.
I mean, there were gaps, but here.
But let me say my point.
Okay.
Because on the play that you're talking about, where Justin Fields fumbled, Justin Fields had already done his best to put the game away twice. The first time he succeeded. The second time he did not. And you could argue maybe he should have threw it to DJ Moore on the crosser, but DJ Moore was being double covered on that play. It was a messy concept in the center, and Tyler Scott was running.
I'm not arguing that. He threw the right pass.
I'm saying someone can. Someone might. One might argue.
It was the right pass.
That DJ Moore.
It hit the guy's hands. It deep.
I agree. I 100%.
40, 50 yards downfield. It hit the guy in his hands.
Down, and it hit him in the hands. So that's how you know it was a good pass, and it was the receiver, right? So he even said he slowed down in a post-game interview. But the issue I have, and the problem I have, and the reason that I get so heated about when people try to put this on Fields is because the Bears do this to Fields on a weekly basis. They get up, he puts them in position to win early on in the game, and then they take the ball out of his hands. And then later on in the game, at the very end, they put the ball back in his hands and go, "Hey, Justin, can you be like Superman again for like one play?" That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Apparently it is, because let me argue this.
Once you start running the ball, once you take the ball out of your quarterback's hands, you're telling the quarterback, "All right, rest and look over a grateful universe." You know what I mean? Like it's the Thanos moment.
Let me argue this with you. Let me argue this.
And then when you try to get him to get back up and put that cape back on, it doesn't work as well. You might as well just let him leave the cape on. Like, yo, we still need you, and he'll still be in that mindset. Like, all right, let me kill these dudes, and he'll go do it. But you can't play with a dude like that, jerking him around in the middle of the game. You gotta
let me argue this. Let
him be the stallion that he is. Or you got to back off and like recognize like, okay, well, you know, this isn't the time for that. But Getsy has no idea how to do that. And that's why we keep losing. That's why we lost the Denver game, because they kept losing. Man, when we got up 30, whatever, we started running the ball like crazy in the second half in the Denver game. It was run, pass. That's not how you win games. That's not how you win games.
And here's the argument.
Years ago. But it's not.
Here's the argument. Here's the argument. Two arguments. One, in the Denver game, the field goal was critically important because that puts us up, puts pressure on them. We don't kick it. In this game, the field goal is mathematically irrelevant, and we do kick it. So it's
That's why I said the field goal is a terrible decision.
All right. But here's the key though. First of all, Justin is actually handled it perfectly because he threw a game-winning bomb touchdown.
He did.
It just was dropped, and one that just lets us know draft Marvin Harrison Jr. because
Correct.
T. Scott may develop into a good receiver, but good receivers don't drop game-winning wide open passes at the end of a game where you're beating the second best team in NFC and the best team in your best team in your division and the second best team in the NFC.
And I'm not going to sit here and scapegoat Tyler Scott, even though he did fumble.
No. T. Scott got to eat that one because didn't he fumble too earlier?
Yeah, he had the fumble after the first interception, and basically just eliminated that drive.
So I mean, T. Scott had a bad game. I'm not mad at T. Scott, but I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. drops that ball as a rookie.
But even other than absolutely draft Marv. Look, if we don't draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and put some this guy could be as good as Justin Jefferson. Like, think about that.
And if you give him, and let's wait, hold on, give me a sec. DJ Moore in that game, 7 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. DJ Moore right now sits in receiving. He sits, I believe he's definitely in the top 10 in receiving as far as yards. 889 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns. If you add a Marvin Harrison Jr. to this guy, I don't think Justin is Justin. I'll give it to him. Justin did. Again, I'm nitpicking on some really, really small errors. No one is going to play a perfect game. There is no perfect game. So I'm not saying, well, Justin. What I am saying is because of the gaffes that are made throughout the game, even some of them coaching and some of them play. No, T. Scott had a bad game. Mr. Contract had a bad game. He had a bad. I mean, he didn't have I won't call it a bad game, but he missed his opportunities to be a difference.
He dropped 2 interceptions. One of which would have been the game clincher early on in the game. It would have been a dagger that would have been 14-0 in the first quarter.
But at the end, instead of the next play is a touchdown. Touchdown.
Exactly. So he dropped 2 picks, and then he blew the coverage that Jameson Williams caught the game or the go-ahead touchdown on against. Eberflus said in the presser that he was supposed to play that high-low, and he played the underneath, and he was gone. So that was on him too. So he had a bad game. End of story.
He had a bad game. So you have 2 guys that have bad games. We're just not a good enough team to overcome 2 guys having really bad games. We're not.
I think we are, because we were going to win anyway until our coaches were stupid. So really what it is we're not a good enough team. Somebody said, I forget who it was, but somebody on Twitter said we're a 8-win team with a 1-win coach. And that's really where I'm absolutely certain he's correct. Because these coaches can't get their head out of there. I cannot stand every press conference after the game. Matt Eberflus walks up to that podium and looks everybody in the eyes and, well, the players just failed to execute. I have never seen a man take less personal responsibility for his own failures. I've never seen it in my life.
Well, you know what? That's because you don't do prison ministry. Okay, so
throw Eberflus in jail because he deserves to be for what he's doing to Justin Fields' career.
It's a crime. It's a crime.
It's an actual crime. It's actually a felony, man.
But you know what? Here's the good news. With him not taking any responsibility, I don't think that's lost on management that he's not taking responsibility. I don't get it. Come on, man. I still have faith in Poles and Warren. I do. I haven't lost faith in them.
Losing faith in Poles.
I think
the fact that he is not firing this coach is making me.
I don't know. We'll find out. I think
I think Pose's like roster construction is immaculate. I think Pose's roster construction
won't go to
decisions
immaculate,
have
but
been.
extremely good.
No, think about it this way, right?
Extremely good.
Of the people he could have signed this offseason, Orlando
Center,
Brown,
center, draft.
yes, but
Center.
there are no centers that have been drafted that are succeeding right. No rookie centers are succeeding right now. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he passed on a good center because I don't see any good centers
Can
that he
they
passed.
hike the ball? If they're hiking the ball, because we
Look,
have great guards and great tackles, if you just get the hike right, you don't have to do a lot of work. You got to chip a little bit and help out.
The point of the matter is you can't fix every hole in one offseason. That's really no, because the first offseason he had to create the holes to even build any kind of cap space in order to build a decent team.
Yeah, but he started working on it. He started working on
40% of our cap space for dead contracts. And this year we're using 0.04% or something like that. So last season was the teardown. This season was the build. So in one offseason, you can't fix every hole. He was like, we got Lucas Patrick that we signed. We got Cody Whitehair. We drafted Doug Kramer. Let's see which of those guys rises to the top. He went into the training camp with 3
what was that? That was a Whitehair fumble coming through late in the game.
Look,
it was 2-3 days late.
So what I'm trying to say is his roster construction, the choices that he's made, other than the Claypool trade, right? I've been on board with just about every decision. And on the surface, the Claypool trade,
it looked like the right trade.
People do not give credit for how it forced Aaron Rodgers out of the division, how it helped to force him out of the division. Right?
It looked like the right trade
that they don't consider as much because Green Bay had offered their second round pick, and we offered a higher one to keep him out of Green Bay and keep a 6'4" receiver who runs a 4.4 out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. Okay, that was valuable in and of itself. Now,
I'm not mad at that.
Did it turn out not to be a good trade? Yes, obviously it did, but it's not the all-time stinker that everybody claims.
And I like the fact that he went ahead this year. He traded the second round. He grabs Montez Sweat. And Montez Sweat proved to be the man that we traded for. I mean, he has changed the front of our defense.
But he has made. It was just crazy that he was available. That's really what it was. It was insane that he was available.
I mean, it was Washington's a little nuts, but they're retooling. And they're probably trying to get to the first overall draft pick, so they're retooling. But they weren't winning with Sweat and Chase, and Chase Young and Sweat, and they were going to have to pay them both. That was going to be $40-50 million bucks. And if you're not winning with it, then no, I wouldn't pay it either. So get a ton of capital. They're going to draft like crazy. But it was good. It was good. They get a great draft pick, but we clearly have an edge of the future. And not only that, by bringing him here, I mean, look at all the sacks that we've compiled since he showed up. It's not his effect on the other team's offensive line. It's not just he's got one sack, and he's got many, many pressures and hits, tons of pressures and hits. But the other guys are just cleaning up because he's standing next to him.
Yep.
They're getting
that's how it looks when you got a
game
a game wrecking DN. And this is the Detroit line is maybe the top offensive line in the NFL. And he still made his impact very much felt and got his first
Sanborn.
Sanborn is a beast. But here, back to the topic of Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles and roster construction, I can't fault it. Okay. The picks that he's made, the rookies, the second round guy, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Gavon Dexter, all those guys look good. Darnell Wright looks like a future top 5 OT. Like, I can't fault his roster construction so far. But this coaching hire has been the single worst decision any GM maybe has made in the Chicago Bears.
But was it his decision? The guy was interviewed before he showed up.
Yes.
Was it his decision? And nonetheless, he had to rubber stamp it. It's still on him. But
and he's back
at the same time,
and he won't fire him. So,
but I don't agree with the sentence. I think he's not going to fire him mid-season. He's not going to fire him mid-season, but we'll see what happens at the end of the season. I mean, if we're still like, honestly, I feel like we're right on the edge. We're right at the edge.
Forget that.
I mean, we almost beat the second best team in the NFC. We're right at the edge. If we can take that next step, then Eberflus might save his job. If we really actually turn. I mean, think about what if we win out? If we win out, he deserves to stay. Now, do we?
If we had won out starting from the Lions game, he deserves to stay. He had his opportunities, man. They're showing up right in front of you. When your opportunities are there in front of you and you can't capitalize, I mean, I get it. They're the number one team in the division and they're doing well and okay. But when you see that you're in the lead and you don't know how to quite bring it home, to me, that says a whole lot about this, even the idea of winning out. You get what I'm saying? It's like you're not even allowing yourselves to win out in one game. Exactly. You can start off very well and you don't win out. And that's just in one game. So imagine there's obviously something there with coaching. You get what I'm saying? To where winning out isn't even a conversation. We couldn't win out one game. I mean, it's just so disappointing, man. I want to say this, though. I want to say this. The real killer for me is just the fact that we look like we don't have an identity. When we do well, it looks fluky. That's what I don't like. That's what I don't like. If you turn a quarterback, if you get 3 and 2 possible interceptions, explain to me how you score on me 2 times in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's almost like if I'm playing against you and all day I've been killing you. You're not getting any yards on me. You're not getting open. Quarterback's throwing to you. I'm taking the ball away. Like, if this is how the game's been going for 3 quarters, what is it? Is it really a play call that's gonna make you beat me in, like, for the last 3, 4, 5 trips? You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what makes me feel like the fluke aspect. That's where the fluke feeling comes in. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like, I've been beating you all day. We should know at this point what we need to do to continue to win this game and to secure a victory.
Well,
and
for
the fact
sure,
that we're not able to do that,
I think
makes
you're
me
dead on.
question,
But think about what happened. We had their run game locked down on the ground. They were we had held both Montgomery and Gibbs together under 100 yards right before they made that run at the end. The first thing they did, we started getting gaffed on the run. So we changed our defense and our defensive looks enough that now we opened up the run game. They were getting 10 yards a pop in the last 4 minutes of the game. And that's where, so we you're right, we took our identity and we dumped it. Then at that point, that of course opens up Detroit's favorite thing to do is play action. So now all of a sudden Montgomery and Gibbs are getting 10 yards a pop. And now when they fake it into their gut, our guys are cheating down. See, we had to, you're out from a defense. I think this is totally on the defense. I'm not saying the offense didn't make gaffes, but from a defensive standpoint, with 4 minutes left, you can't decide all of a sudden, oh, well, the run doesn't matter. Well, guess what? Not for Detroit. Detroit took Montgomery from us and they picked Gibbs. They did that on purpose. And they're beating teams. I mean, their book of business, is strong. They done beat Kansas City. They beat the Chargers. They beat the crap out of the Raiders. They beat the crap out of the Packers. They've got a decent book of business as far as who they've beaten. And they're beating them, and Montgomery and Gibbs are running all over people. We stopped them. You can't quit on that. If you're winning because you stopped them, you forced Goff to sit in a pocket and throw the ball, you pressured him, he threw it away. Should have been 5 times, but it was 3. Keep the formula. And I agree that how many times have we said this over the Eberflus era and even over the Nagy era? Why do you stop doing what works? We used to run the ball like crazy and then quit. Now we're throwing the ball well, and we quit. You're playing good run defense, and you pull everybody back, and you let, well, we'll give up 10 yards a carry. How'd that work out? All of a sudden, you look up and both of their running backs go from really mundane numbers to Montgomery ended with 6.3 yards a carry, and Gibbs ended with 4.5 yards a carry. Why? Because of that end of the second half of that fourth quarter. They were able to run us over like crazy. And because guess what? You pulled your linebackers out. You pulled your linebackers back. And I don't know what you told your corners and safeties to do because they weren't covering deep, and your linebackers were back from the line of scrimmage. Oh my God! It's just you can't. Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Remember that?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
and it wasn't broke. The defense was working. The offense was working. Just right. You ride it out. It's the end of the fourth quarter. If they figure you out and they beat you, they beat you. But at one point, imagine you guys remember the Holyfield Tyson fight. Imagine if Holyfield stopped jabbing Tyson in the forehead. He kept jabbing Tyson in the forehead through fights 1 and 2. So that guy's forehead was completely covered with welts until he went crazy and bit his ear. Why? Because it worked. Because every time Tyson loaded up his knockout combination with that involved that uppercut and the overhand left, before he could finish it, 9 times out of 10, his head was getting pummeled by jabs from Holyfield. Did Holyfield stop jabbing him in the head? No, he kept doing it till he won both fights. What are we doing? Why, when we're winning, I agree with you, do we just decide, hey, that's working really well, let's do something different?
I got the answer to that question because Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy are losers. They do not know how to win.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy are losers. That's
yell it from the mountaintop.
Habitual losers. Okay. And we are never going to win with them running our team. We just will not. Every time we're in position to win, we have to either have someone on our team be perfect or be playing one of the worst teams in the entire NFL, or both, to get a win. That cannot be the statement, because our quarterback has proven time and time again, going against the best competition the NFL has to offer, going against the Philadelphia Eagles, going against the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, this year's Detroit Lions, this year's Broncos, who are turning out to be a playoff contender. Go figure. He has what it takes to have you in the game against the NFL's best competition. He will give you a chance to win in the toughest games, the toughest defenses that the NFL has to throw at him. And defensive coordinators and head coaches on the other side of the field pull out their hair trying to stop him. We've got talent on the defense. I won't hear nobody say we don't. We've got talented players on the defensive side of the ball. They proved it this past week. The Detroit offense has been near unstoppable, and they look like they hit a brick wall for the first 3 quarters. Okay? We dominated them with a 20-minute time of possession differential. They beat us in 19 minutes, and we had the ball for 40.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot win trying not to lose. You will immediately doom yourself to lose.
I wanted to say that right there, that I think that's where we are. I think that's where our coaches are. They're not winners. They're not. They are try not to losers. And what's crazy is when I look at some of the play calls. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody, or even in sports, whatever, where somebody they're just so smart they're stupid, and it's like they're so smart they think they're smarter than you, and it's like they're trying to outsmart you, and you're just like you're outthinking yourself, like you're whatever it is you're trying to do is not working because of you. It's not.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not working because of you, and I think that's what it is, man. Sometimes the play calling makes it seem to me as if they or you're just too smart for your own good. It's like, it's not that you're changing it because it's not working. It's like, oh, it's working so well, I bet that they're going to try to make an adjustment here, but before they do, I'm going to make my, you get what I'm saying? It's like, stop doing that. Play the game. This game is about, this is a physical game. This is a physical game. This isn't about you. I mean, granted, there's some strategy, but let's be real. If my guys can physically abuse your guys, we're gonna win. I can almost guarantee you that. Like, that's what this game is about in the trenches. This is where it starts. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the times, I feel like what he does is it's this concept that, like, oh, I can be so smart that it doesn't matter about the players anymore because the plays I'm called. It's like, no. It's always the players. It's always these guys on the field making the plays. You just have to put them in the right position. It's not, and to me, it's not even always the play calling per se. It is, but it's like, don't call dumb plays. If you have your guys, if you put good players in the vicinity, you give them an opportunity, they'll make those plays. It's not like you're going to be like, hey, stand right here on the 5-yard line, and in 2 seconds, he's going to throw it right to you. And because I called the play, you're going to be there. No. But I feel like they coach as if they have that type of an impact, and we see they do. When you start to coach like that, and you're trying to manipulate the players as if they're not out there making things happen, but you're trying to win from your play calls. It's like, come on, man, get off of it. Get off. They have to play the game. They have to play the game, man. And I just think that until we get rid of the coaches, then this culture of losing isn't going to change, because you're absolutely right. That's a coach's mentality to not be a winner, but to be a try not to loser. That's a coach's thing.
Yep. 100% agree with you, Sos. Like, it's like, at what point is Ryan Poles going to look at the mistake he made with these coaches and fix it? And if you cannot identify the coach to lead this franchise, then no matter how good you are at personnel decisions, you don't need to be the GM. If you cannot look at the only thing that's keeping this team uncompetitive right now, because it ain't talent on the field, that's been made obvious. We just went blow for blow with one of the best teams in the NFC. So that means the only reason we're not one of the best teams in the NFC is because of them dudes on the sideline making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Because the talent is clearly there. Maybe it was the Montez Sweat trade that elevated our defense to that level. Sure. But from what I saw, our defense was giving up 14 points a game before we had Montez Sweat for the last couple games. Our defensive coordinator changed, and suddenly our defense got it way better. Crazy how that coaching made such a difference of just the details of the defense. Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coordinator. I'll get that to him. He's a terrible head coach. His play calls when the games are on the line are atrocious. His decisions, his clock management when the game is on the line, oh my God, his use of timeouts drives me crazy. Drives me absolutely freaking nuts. I done seen so many times this year, like a clock rundown and a delay of game happen because the offense couldn't get set or whatever, and we let ourselves go to 1st and 15 on critical drives, and he won't use a timeout in the first half to fix that. Like, and then this week, he finally did it. Early on, we were about to get a delay of game, and then he used the timeout correctly, and we don't get the delay game, and it worked out great. And then there was another situation. The exact same situation happened on a 1st or 2nd down, and there was all kind of miscommunication about the snap. And then he didn't call a timeout, and it was still the first half. Like, what are you saving them timeouts for, man? Make your offense successful. Give them what they need to be successful. If they need an extra 30 seconds right here, give them 30 seconds. If they need an extra 60, give them 60. Do what you got to do. That his decisions on 4th downs in the beginning of the game, he was like, freaking gung ho. He was like, 4th down, that's just another opportunity to get 2 yards. And that was great, and it was working, and we were bullying them. Why stop? You don't stop bullying somebody that you were bullying before. That just means they're going to come back and kick your butt. That's how it works. You watch Karate Kid, you got to keep bullying them until you're off the field. You can't let off on the guy you're bullying. And that's what he did on 4th downs, 4th and inches, 4th and 2, whatever it was. He's just like, oh, we'll just kick a little chip shot field goal. We don't need to actually get touchdowns. Like, we don't need to put away this team. It's baffling the amount of like try to be safe decisions he calls. He's too passive. He doesn't understand situational football. Neither does Luke Getsy, for that matter. Like, get rid of him. Get rid of him. You cut ties with Claypool. That was a huge mistake. Cool. You cut ties with him. The team has been better since. You cut ties with the defensive coordinator. The team has been better since. Cut ties with the head coach. The team will be better after you do. That's what I got to say about that.
I can't disagree with you, man. I can't disagree.
Put him
Can't
in the cannon.
disagree.
Send him off into the river. I don't care what you do with him. Just get him out of here.
Hey, and sometimes you got to make those hard decisions, man. I like Poles as well. And sometimes I think maybe, are you just maybe a nice guy and you just don't want to, it's like, yeah, we can be friends. I can like you professionally, whatever. But if it's not working, then we got to do something else. And I just feel like as far as the coaching side of things, there's way too much gray area. There's way too much conversation to be had about things the coaches do. Let's be real. When you played this game, when you coached this game, when you're a part of the game for your lives, for all this time you've been a part of this game, you know what to do. You're good or you're not good. You get what I'm saying? You have a plan, you have a strategy, and you execute or you don't execute. It seems like right now these coaches, and it's evident through our team play, these coaches are looking for identity. It seems to me they're looking to prove something. You get what I'm saying? But I feel like when you know what you're doing, when you're familiar with your personnel, when you have a plan, all you do is go out there and execute your plan. You can't do anything more than putting the players in the position to win. You get what I'm saying at the end of the day. So I feel like when we play sports, you don't go out there and think like, let me make sure I do the right thing. It's like, you know what to do. You already know what to do. If you lose, it's because you just didn't execute what you were supposed to do. All this extra conversation that we're able to have, to me, is indicative of the fact that our coaches they don't know what they're doing. They don't. If you have a plan, you come out there, put your guys in position. If they win, they win. Then you can sit back and say, the team didn't execute. You get what I'm saying? They failed to execute. But right now, they're blowing in the wind. They're all over the place. You don't know if we're going to come out and do what's working, if it's going to work this time, if we're going to change it up and try to catch somebody off guard, being a team we're not. I don't know what to expect from them. And I think that's really where our team is right now, because they don't know how to go out there and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, because I've watched this game for so long. I've been a part of this game for so long. I know this is what we should be doing out here. Let's get to it. You get what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And Poles needs to see when that's not working, when they don't have that vision, it's time to go another direction.
Yep, 100%. And it's crazy that they're so willing to cut ties and cut mistakes with players, but won't see that the players can only go as far as the coaches take.
There you go.
Right. And you got all this consternation about, is Justin Fields the guy of the future? And there has been a very clear disconnect with Luke Getsy and his way of play calling and offensive design, and Justin Fields and what he wants to do as the quarterback of this team. And it's like, if you're wondering if Fields is the right quarterback for the team, then the question should then be, who is the right offensive coordinator to maximize him? If you even want Fields to be the quarterback, then the question should be, who is the right offensive coordinator? Because I'm gonna say this, I've been looking at the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan offense around the league. Okay, we got Bobby Slowick in Houston, who's adapted it for CJ Stroud, and he has put so many of Stroud's college route concepts, option routes, seams, quick slants, and they rarely throw behind the line of scrimmage, right? That's a staple of these offenses is screen passes galore. Go look at Aaron Rodgers for his last few years under Mike LaFleur or Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Go look at Green Bay and what they do with Zach Wilson under Mike LaFleur. Go look at Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Go look at Mike McDaniel in Miami, right? Tons of throws behind the line of scrimmage. CJ Stroud don't do that a whole lot. You know why? Because that ain't what he likes to do as the quarterback. He don't like to throw behind the line of scrimmage. That's not what they did in Ohio State. So we got all these all these concepts that he just airlifted from the offense that he already knew to get his guy familiar, to get him doing the things that he's comfortable succeeding with. And look, CJ Stroud out there killing it. Out there killing it. He had a rough week this past week. He's a rookie. Rookies have rough weeks. But overall, he's having a phenomenal amount of success there. Okay? But we got Justin Fields, right? Who played the same offense that CJ Stroud does, and his passing chart looks way different than CJ Stroud's. When you look at every pass and where it goes and how many are behind the line of scrimmage and what does he attack deep? How often does he attack deep? It's so many passes out to the horizontal and behind the line of scrimmage areas under 10 yards. Very little is going deep, very little across the middle of the field. It looks exactly like Aaron Rodgers' passing charts did in Green Bay. It looks exactly the same. So Getsy is not able to adapt his offense to the strength of his player. His most important player, the most important player in the entire franchise, right? So if you won't change your scheme one iota to make your guy successful, why are we even having this conversation about you? Leave. Because it don't matter who we get, the guy that you get is not going to be Aaron Rodgers. Okay? So Nathaniel Hackett had this scheme in Green Bay, or he learned this scheme in Green Bay and then took it to the Broncos. He was out after 1 year as the head coach because Russell Wilson was struggling mightily. Justin Fields has a lot more similarities to Russell Wilson as a quarterback than he does to Aaron Rodgers. And if Russell Wilson couldn't pick this scheme up, and now he looks like a killer with Sean Payton, all of a sudden again, he's got 19 TDs to 4 interceptions over there, playing lights out ball, beating the Chiefs, beating all kinds of teams that he has no business beating. Okay, with this Denver team that we manhandled. Okay, so you got a scheme that's got Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson all struggling because you won't adapt it, and all the coaches that are adapting their scheme, which is Brock Purdy in San Francisco, Bobby Slowick in Houston, and Tua in Miami, are having enormous amounts of success. And you got a coach that won't adapt the scheme, and it's the same scheme. Come on, man. That should tell you everything you need to know about your offensive coach. He's not the guy. He can't do it. He cannot. And this is the same problem Nagy had, where they couldn't take the scheme that they had, that they were, bred into, and then make it fit the guy that they have. And Fields is having success despite that. So that's like, come on, man. Come on. What are we doing here? Why are we still fighting this fight? It's 2 years in. Can we just cut our losses at any point? Anyway, sorry, that's my rant. I'm just so sick of Getsy, man. I'm so sick of it.
I am too. Sheesh.
Pops, you're muted.
We had an incredible 3 quarters of football and a little bit, 3 and a little bit.
We almost 4. It was down to the last. It was 55 minutes of good football. Yep. 55 minutes. Fields took us on an 8-minute drive to try to win the game, and that should have been up 2 touchdowns.
I wanted to cut this episode into pieces so we could do a win and then week 11. It's all right. It's all right. You're still talking Bears. It's okay.
I mean, that's all we do over here, man.
We definitely won up until like the last couple minutes of the game. I felt like I was watching a win, and then it was like, this game is different.
It's crazy that we have this kind of talent and we're just pissing it away. We're just absolutely pissing it away. It's like, come on, man. Get somebody in here that wants to win. Get somebody in here to run this team that wants to win. Look at what Las Vegas has done since they fired their coach. They done fired their coach, and they done won. They done gone 500 since then with an interim coach and a less talented roster than we have. They got Aiden O'Connell out there in Las Vegas winning games, winning tough games. Come on, man. Like this has got to be on polls at this point for inaction, for failing to do anything the right way and cut your ties with this awful, awful, awful coaching staff.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you, cuz For sure, for sure. Something's got to change, man. Something's got to change. We got too much talent for this. But they're setting us up perfectly to get the top 2 picks in the draft for next year. So, as usual, wait till next year.
I mean,
Wait till next Sunday. Wait till next week. Just wait. Polls, we're waiting. We're waiting.
As fans, we gotta be better. As fans, we gotta be better. We gotta stop watching. We gotta stop showing up to games. We gotta stop buying merch until they make a change.
I can't stop watching because I talk Bears every weekend.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that's going to tell this, because the McCaskies are going to keep doing what they're doing until someone shows the McCaskies that this is not the way the Bears fans want to see this product on the field. So either we got to do a 1,000,000-man march to Hallis Hall, or we got to stop watching. We got to stop buying tickets. We got to stop going to the game, because they're going to keep doing the same. We're not going to fire a coach in the middle of the season. We're going to hire a guy that we like and we think is a really, really nice human being to be the head coach of the team. They're going to keep doing that dumb crap until we just run out of money. Like, they're just bleeding Chicago dry at this point. We got to send a message to their wallets that we're not happy with the product they're putting out there. We want Justin Fields with a coach that's going to actually utilize him the same way the Ravens utilize Lamar Jackson. Okay? We don't want them out here giving us these BS game plans every other week. Like they called the game for Justin Fields today, and look, he had enormous success, even with a hurt thumb that he still had to have wrapped, and his other finger got bloodied up on his throwing hand during the game, and he was getting jumped on and falling on, and they didn't throw no flags on his behalf, and he still had enormous success, and they still found a way to hang him out to dry, and we don't like that. And we have to send a message to the McCaskies. We don't like what they're doing to our boy. And if they don't hear it at that point, come on, man. Come on, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do as fans? We got to send a message to their wallets. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
You got anything to say about that, Pops? Because I know you've been supporting this team financially with your own money for a lot longer than us. No? All right. Well, I'm Son.
I'm Nephew.
He's
and
Uncle. We're talking Bears.
Bears.